So to continue a little bit, market research is typically conducted within two phases of business or of commerce in the commercial world. That would be what we call downstream marketing, and that's marketing or market research that's typically conducted after the launch of a product or service. So once your car is in the market and being sold, and Ford might then interview buyers of that car in order to understand what they like, what they dislike about it, and how they can make it better in a next generation. We also have something that we call upstream marketing. And upstream marketing is that marketing and market research that we conduct prior to the conception or launch of a product. So before a car is built, before a car is designed, it's about going and understanding how people live their lives, what kind of new vehicle might better meet their need. So market research can be used to assess the suitability and performance of current products. That's what I described as downstream marketing. It can also be used to identify opportunities for and define the nature or the specification of new products, and that's what we call upstream marketing. Market research can either be quantitative, where quantitative is concerned with the size of preferences, the size of markets, the size of value in a market. We also have something called qualitative marketing, which is concerned with the nature of those preferences, not necessarily how many people or what percentage of people want something, but what specifically it is they want, how they want it to be presented to them, and why they need it. And that's all about trying to determine what successful looks like, what goods looks like to those people, so that they then want to use the product or service that we develop. Needs exist both downstream and upstream in our market. So typically, downstream needs tend to be incremental improvements. I need the light to be a little bit brighter. I need the beep to be a little bit louder. I need one more cup holder. Those are kind of downstream, what we call incremental improvements, changes to what there currently exists. But needs can also exist upstream. And those needs, where people can't necessarily articulate them, but if we can identify them, we can introduce new products that maybe don't exist yet. They tend to be next or new generations of solutions and products and services. Often businesses and commerce are interested in innovating entirely new products, and they look upstream in order to identify what we call unmet needs, which could yield new markets, new successes, or increased impact. We'll talk a little bit about markets and impact in a moment. So business and commerce tends to look for opportunities to grow, and those don't tend to come from making the beep louder. They tend to come from introducing a whole new product that didn't exist before. Success can be measured in different ways. Typically in Western culture and in business, we tend to measure success in terms of growth, in terms of profit or shareholder value, of stock price, those kind of monetary valuations. And of course, that's wholesome and good if you're in industry and in business. But there are other measures as well, and particularly, for example, in global health settings, USAID or an NGO might measure impact rather than profit or money. And impact might be a number of lives saved, or time saved, or cost saved, number of vaccinations delivered, numbers of babies saved at birth. So there might be a very, very different measure of impact that's not necessarily related to growth or profit. So a quick example of a product that was really born of downstream marketing, and this is an early version of the Volvo XC90. And the story behind the XC90 is interesting because SUVs, what we know as sport utility vehicles, had existed for a while, and they were kind of big, kind of clunky, multi-seat vehicles. And Volvo noticed that, particularly in the US, that mums with kids, families doing the school run, going to the shops, were buying these SUVs or kind of borrowing them off their husbands or partners and using them for those day-to-day chores because they were very useful. They could get lots of kids in, they could throw bags and shopping and dogs and all manner of things into them. But actually those SUVs weren't really designed with that in mind. They were designed to be sport utility vehicles, primarily originally aimed at men. So Volvo interviewed and conducted panels with mums actually in the United States in order to better understand how they could tune or redesign the SUV to be better suited to mums and to day-to-day use on the school run. And out of that was born the XC90, and it's kind of touted as the first SUV designed kind of by women for women. Thinking a little bit differently now, thinking about an upstream marketing example. Some of you may recognize this as the Dyson vacuum cleaner. This is one of the very, very early Dyson vacuum cleaners, actually born in the 1980s. And James Dyson, at that point, a recently graduated student, was kind of looking at vacuum cleaners and looking at how he cleaned his house. And one day it just sort of struck him that the current vacuum cleaners, as they were designed, all used a bag, a paper or a cloth bag, through which the air was blasted by a fan, and the bag was to catch the dust and catch the debris from your carpet or your house. And the problem with that fundamental design is that the bag is continually performing, or performance is being degraded all the time you use the vacuum cleaner, because it's constantly clogging. So the vacuum cleaner starts off working really well, and within minutes it's working at a fraction of its former efficiency and its former cleaning capability. So he said, there's got to be a better way to do this. We need to be able to do this without the vacuum cleaner kind of dying on us progressively as we use it. And he noted, actually completely unrelated to house cleaning, that sawmills were separating out sawdust using a cyclonic process where you blast air into a circle and use centrifugal forces to throw dust out sideways, to throw sawdust out sideways and collect it that way, so that the air coming back out is much, much cleaner. And there's no filters, there's nothing to clog. And he took that unmet need of high efficiency, good vacuum cleaning and sawdust filters, and he turned them into the Dyson vacuum cleaner.